Strength and conditioning is the foundation of every football team.
Finish the job!
And the summer months are some of the most vital in laying that groundwork.
Coach Carroll, what does the programming look like for you guys these summer months leading into the fall?
Yeah, the summer is our most critical part of the offseason, right? We're using a systematic step load of the on-field qualities that you're going to expect to see during fall camp, right? We need to create as robust and as resilient of a roster as possible, and these summer months are critical, right? So week in and week out, we're going to do what's called a step load of the on-field volume. The summer provides an 8-week process for us to get that done, right? We always say be process-oriented, not outcome-oriented. For us, the summer outcome is getting everyone healthy and ready to go for fall camp, right? But the process is that day in and day out grind in which we're doing all of those qualities of physical preparation that are going to lead to being a successful football player.
The program is built out and implemented by Arizona's strength and conditioning staff, made up of Coach Cullen Carroll and 4 full-time assistant coaches.
All of them have undergraduate degrees in exercise science and master's degrees in kinesiology, exercise science, or sports psychology. James Perez, my assistant director, he oversees our offensive and defensive lines. He oversees our elite form programming as well as our catapult GPS. Henry Edelman, he oversees our wide receivers and our defensive backs. He also heads up all of our competitions. So anything that we compete in, we always want to make sure we're keeping score, we're ranking somebody right. There is a winner and a loser, just like every Saturday in college football, right? Coach 𝐀𝐥𝐥 Franco, he works with our running backs, our quarterbacks, and our specialists, right? So our asymmetrical rotational athletes does a lot of the specific programming for them. He also oversees our 1080 sprint. And then lastly, Coach DeMonte Hagler, he oversees our linebackers and our tight ends, and he also works with our ball technologies, so our force plate and our nard board.
But what really separates Arizona's strength and conditioning department is the work that they do in tandem with Arizona's performance team.
Yeah, I think what differentiates us is our ability to execute a comprehensive student-athlete development program, right? And what allows us to do that is our high-performance model. We operate with a high-performance team. It's comprised of my strength and conditioning staff, our sports medicine and our athletic training staff, our sports dietitian and nutrition staff, and then lastly, our sports psychology staff, right? That is a high-performance team. We're working in lockstep, really trying to provide the best possible experience for each one of our student-athletes.
Starting on day 1 with Arizona football, each player receives an individualized performance plan, and that plan is driven by data.
What are some of the sports science tools and machines that you guys use to track that data?
Yeah, the first one I would say would be our catapult GPS, right? That's a small accelerometer that our guys wear every day they put their cleats on, right? So me and the staff in the off season, they'll be wearing the bibs and we'll be outside running. If it's in practice or in a game, there's actually a spot in their shoulder pads that will put that GPS unit in. There's quite literally thousands of things that you can measure with that GPS unit, right? We stick to about 7 to 8 main things that we think give us the most insight into what football is, right? So again, we're looking at things such as yardage, right? The amount of distance that each athlete covers during a practice or a running session or a game. We're looking at high-speed yardage, right? So how many yardage over a certain velocity threshold for each individual. The next one I kind of mentioned that there was max velocity, right? What's that instantaneous, fastest speed our guys will hit? We're also looking at the amount of accelerations our guys will take during a session, the amount of decelerations that our guys are taking during a session, and a couple other metrics, maybe like contact load, right? Our big guys slamming into one another, we can go ahead and measure that with the GPS. But ultimately what that does is it gives us a number that's player load, right? And player load can be summarized as the amount of fatigue or the amount of tax on each athlete from not only an individual standpoint, a position group standpoint, but then also globally across the team, so that we can really ebb and flow things to make sure that when Saturday rolls around, our guys are ready and prepared as possible to fly around, make plays, and cut it loose. Another thing we're doing that when we're on the field is super beneficial for our guys is we're using the 1080 sprint. And to summarize what the 1080 does, it allows us to create individually specific force velocity profiles for our guys. So the 1080 is a machine that you'll hook onto yourself and you'll perform a resisted or assisted sprint. Based on that data that's created from that sprint, we're able to create that profile so we can look at what you're efficient at and what you're deficient at, right? Everybody wants to get faster. Speed's the main part of the game, right? So we can give a guy even the slightest edge in his speed development. For us, that's worth it. We go all in on the 1080. So we individualize everybody's sprint training.
Stay down. Go.
We're also super fortunate here in the weight room, right? We have Elite Form, which is our velocity-based training system. And then lastly, we have Vault Technologies, specifically the Force Decks and the Nordboard.
We use Elite Form in our weight room to track bar speed on key lifts such as squats, bench press, and different Olympic movements. What that does is allows us to track in real time bar speed and power output on an individual basis from rack to rack. It's a video camera setup that's on every single one of our racks. With that video camera is a tablet on the rack. So the guys can come in, punch in their name, their photo will pull up in their profile. What the training is for that day will get pulled up as well, and now they know what their individual plan is. Within that profile, we're gonna set certain bar speeds for that day, depending on what response and what type of development we're trying to get out of that morning. Now from that standpoint, there's two sides where that could go. Guy could come in after practice, moving the bar super well. We're gonna keep adding weight. We're gonna keep pushing the envelope to drive player development. Conversely, if that bar's moving a little bit slower that day, he just played in 65 plays on Saturday. He's a little beat up from practice, what have you. We got to make sure he's ready to go. We're going to meet him where he's at to make sure that that fatigue doesn't linger, but we're still getting the training stimulus that we need to make sure that he's strong, he's powerful, and injury-free rocking into Saturday.
Yeah, so the force plate and the Nordboards are a little different because we're using those two tests to really just track their fatigue levels and their progression within the program. The force plates are pressure-sensitive platforms that we use, and it measures ground forces when an athlete jumps, lands, or even when they're standing. It can detect asymmetries between left and right limbs, power output, and even how well somebody uses force. So as soon as he steps on like the force plates, it gets his weight, and from there it's just like it's evaluating where he puts pressure from left to right, right and left, how long it takes him to get off the plate. The Nordboard is a device that we use that measures hamstring strength. It also evaluates muscle function and imbalances between the two limbs.
We're super fortunate with the amount of sports science that we have here in the building, and we use it to inform our training on a global standpoint as far as what the team should be exposed to at that given time. But then we get more specific from position group to the individual based on that data we're getting.
While lifting and conditioning is preparing them physically for the game, the weight room also serves as a platform for building the team's culture.
When we're in the weight room, it's just all about really just working and grinding together, and I feel like that's a big part in building team culture. Just being together, being around each other in the weight room gives us a lot of opportunity to do that.
It's just been really competitive, guys cheering each other on during the runs. It's been a good time.
Coach Carroll and his staff is always pushing us to outwork each other and just work hard together. Like, he's always talking about increasing the price, never decreasing it. Standard is a standard. And so we try to just live up to that.
Week by week, it just gets tougher and tougher. And as we get more in shape, as we build strength throughout the off season, you really see it show up in the weight room and on the field.
Watching week in and week out, the culture and Coach Brennan's vision of Redline, that being established brick by brick. At first, things like that culturally, it's coach-fed, but it has to be player-led if it's ever going to take on and really be part of your identity